Welcome to the Afterspin, opinions from thought leaders in our state. I want to ask Brad Crone and Rick Henderson. Andrew Dunn in the Longleaf Politics blog recently asked, how much does it cost to win an election in our state? He studied the amount spent by winning candidates in 2016. His research showed it cost $20 million to win a gubernatorial race, $10 million to win a Senate seat, $1.5 million to win a House seat, and between $200,000 and $500,000 million to win a Council of State race. What's your reaction to these findings? Brad, you live in that world quite a bit.
You know, when I started in 1992, a competitive state House race was $20,000 to $25,000. So that shows you the escalation. It also shows you how competitive our state is. North Carolina truly is a purple state at the General Assembly level, Council of State level, in our judicial races now, congressional, Senate, and even at the presidential level.
You're absolutely correct, because Rick, in that era, back in the 90s, if you won the primary, if you were a Democrat, right, it was pretty much conceded that you were going to win the general election. So the real expenditure of funds came in the primary contest.
That's
not
right.
so much. So what do you think about these numbers now?
Well, the numbers are interesting, because what it tells me is, if, for instance, I were a younger person who had some political ambitions and wanted to find a race that would provide some exposure, I might consider Council of State as a possibility to launch a career. I mean,
relatively cheap.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to raise a lot of money for those sorts of races. They're also very low-profile races, but we've seen in several instances of people going from the Council of State to higher office. Of course, we saw it with Mike Easley, from Attorney General to Governor. We saw it with Jim Hunt years ago.
Roy Cooper.
Roy Cooper is currently doing that. Dan Forest is going to try to make that leap from Lieutenant Governor to Governor. Bob Etheridge went from Superintendent to Congress. So, I mean, these sorts of things are happening. And that seems to me to be something that people might consider, is looking at the Council of State races as a way to launch careers, because going through, let's say, a Senate race or a governor's race, you really have to have lots of money to self-fund to be competitive in a lot of these races, in addition to raising money on your own.
And people talk about trying to take the money out of politics, but I think Andrew Dunn's numbers just indicate that this is an expensive business.
And that the interesting thing about the column this week, Tom, was that's just the individual candidate races. When you look at the outside money of separate groups and independent expenditures, you just magnify it 2 times, 3 times over. So it is a serious business where a lot of money is being appropriated.
It's called the Television Full Employment Act.
Absolutely.
And the Direct Mail Houses Full Employment Act, for that standpoint.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, do you see anything that leads you to believe that this could diminish over a period of time? Is it possible that we will see Congress somehow or another design some new campaign expenditure laws?
Doubtful right now, because the courts have made it pretty clear that you can't limit spending.
Freedom of speech.
That's right. And the other issue, too, though, is that in North Carolina, you're certainly not going to see it, because 2020 and 2022, those cycles are going to be extremely competitive and extremely expensive, because you're going to have, as we spoke about in the show, you're going to have these court races on the ballot. You're going to have Tom Tillis, most likely running for the Senate. You're going to have all the Council of State seats up, all the General Assembly seats up. And then in 2022, you're going to have, after redistricting again, you're going to have another round of candidates running in new districts, and possibly reapportionment and a new...
well, and the courts may come in and change the congressional districts and the legislative districts. And
in 2022, you've got an open Senate seat, because Richard Burr's retiring. And so you're going to have, it's going to be very, very expensive for at least the next 2 election cycles.
What was the old saying? Lions and tigers and, what is it? Oh my?
Lions, tigers, and bears, oh my.
Oh my.
That's right.
Well, that may be 2020. Thank you for watching the Afterspin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.